Yeah, the first thing that comes up for me, usually like in an area here, or what was happening up here, or what's happening here is, oh, I haven't attended to that area yet. I ignored it. So my first inclination is to come in to paint these areas, to put paint there in a way that's just in keeping with what else was going on, the same frame of mind as I was, so just like the frame of mind that laid this in, well, okay, go to this area, go to this with the same frame of mind. So it's not so much that I'm looking for what's my option in terms of my frame of my question among all these questions, but oh, I really haven't attended to that yet. I'm going to go there with the same set of questions that I did this. Just come back into that area and then see how it lands. It's just doesn't have as much attention yet. Does that make sense?
Yes. With the frame of mind, like for example, is that just an emotional state you're in, or
it's not? I guess it's an emotional state. It's a mix. It's an energetics. It has a mix of things. There's an energy, a certain kind of quality of energy. There's a certain emotional state, a certain amount of being inside, outside of myself. It's a energetic position, and there's a kind of an attitude of the mark. Just remembering that kind of it's a complex of attitudes, physical, emotional, mental, right? And just sort of re-inhabiting that position that I was in when I did this and this, right? So that, and we've mentioned this, it's call it a frame of mind or a state of mind, although it's more than mind. Well, it depends on how you define mind, but re-inhabiting where I was at as I was working. Even though, of course, now I've stepped out, stepped back, assessed, thought about it, came up with a decision. But when I go to re-engage, I want to re-inhabit that frame of mind where I was at while I drop in and make that mark. And I think about it a lot in terms of David Mamet's book, True and False, about acting, where we're not pretending so much as we are re-inhabiting who we are in that situation. And we learn to gain control over that movement so that we can re-inhabit it. And that as we work, even over time, as we continue to mark and we step back and we assess and we make decisions, and then we go and we mark, we can drop back into that frame of mind because we've gained control over that. We're not just going with wherever our mind happens to slip into. So that it is its own discipline as we work. And maintains a sense of consistency of attitude as we work, which helps with the problem of, as we continue to work, what we were talking about, was it last week or a couple of weeks ago, where, you know, we can, you know, at a certain point as we keep working, our attitude shifts, and then we find ourselves kind of reinventing the whole thing and moving into some other painting, which could be good if that's what we want to do. But if it's not what we're interested in doing, then it's crucial to develop a sense of discipline over our frame of mind as we work to maintain that sense of consistency. I had a teacher as an undergrad, Hardy Hansen. Hardy was great. It took a while to figure out where he was coming from. And he would come up, look at the painting that you were working on, and say something like, if this area is like New York City, and this area is like San Francisco, what city is this area? Hardy, I have no idea what you're talking about. But, you know, eventually you start to catch on to how he's trying to get us to tune into the way our minds are changing as we're working, and how that ends up, of course, changing the feel of the mark and the attitude in the painting, and what does that do? And just to start being aware of it. I remember him doing that as well in terms of his grip on my arm. You know, like a tight grip, and this area would be a softer grip, you know, and so what is this area? I think he'd be sued today in college. I don't think he'd get away with it. No, crazy. Anyway, it's another, right, it's another aspect of the whole thing that we've been talking about.
That's really helpful. And I do remember from many classes ago, you said, you know, being aware of your attitude and managing it is as important a piece of your toolkit as,
right,
you know, all these other skills. And I just never had thought of that.
Right.
So,
right. But of course, once it's put into words, it's like, well, yeah, how could it not be? Right. And, you know, when we're learning foundational skills without necessarily being aware of it, that is what we're learning. In other words, you know, when we're learning to measure, or we're learning to mix tone, and we have to concentrate, and we have to pay attention, and we have to keep staying on that. Of course, that is developing sort of this baseline sensibility of showing up and staying with it as we work. But then we may come to the conclusion that in order for me to work, I have to be kind of constricted and tight in order to maintain consistency and really keep showing up. And then that becomes a bit of a straitjacket. And it's like, I don't want to do that all the time. And so it's like, oh, well, what? I want to loosen up, or I want to bring other parts of myself into the making. It's like, okay, how do I do that and maintain consistency? What is that? Because it can't just be whatever, you know, I'm going to loosen up and then magically, or hopefully, or maybe a strong painting is going to appear. How do I loosen in order to bring more of my life energy into the work and still bring formal wholeness, skills of compositional structure, concerns of light and space and form? How do I get all that to work together? And that takes doing and attention to start to get all of these, what's going to feel it, certainly at first, as disparate parts of myself. Maybe they'll even feel oppositional, and then they start to not just seem opposite or contradictory. They start to first maybe a kind of a toggling back and forth, and then they kind of are actually start to integrate, and we're able to just kind of navigate the situation and maintain a sense of balance as it's more like different energies kind of share as we are moving through it, something like that.
And awareness.
Say again?
Kind of awareness.
Yes, it's all, yes, the awareness stays consistent as different different attitudes come and recede and share, and it's just more of an open field of these different attitudes that are all working more in concert together. But that takes time just to start to get to know them, and then start to play them out together, and then it just starts to integrate.
Thank you, Jordan.
Yeah.
A lot to work on.
Yeah, no, and that's really just a life journey. That's, I mean, it's just, that doesn't stop for sure.
Yeah, I think it's a life journey, and to come every day, and to work every day with like attitude, and maintain the attitude. It's something which is, I think, I mean, it's something that you practice like all the time.
Yes, so, exactly. That's exactly right. Painting becomes a life practice. It's like, oh, I'm actually exploring what does it mean to be alive, to be here, and I get a picture at the end. It's like, a little bonus. Yeah. Cool.